Humor, Haunts, and Homicide.
Hey, bitch! Welcome to Humor, Haunts, and Homicide. I'm your co-host, Josh Compton.
And I'm Renee Biggs.
Hey, Renee Biggs. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
You know, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Well, we're now on episode 4 of Humor, Haunts, and Homicide.
Can you believe it?
I can, because we're here making shit happen, making dreams come true, and we're here doing it with you, all of you great fans and listeners out there.
Still love you.
All 100 of you. I think we've grown. So
100?
I think we're up at like 100 now. But that can be improved if you give us your feedback. And you can do that by giving us an email at admin@humorhauntsandhomicide.com.
Also tell your friends about us and
your family.
Yeah, friends and family. Share our posts and stuff. That'd be really great.
And make them tell their friends and family, because, what else is better in the world than sharing love and support for the people that you like and appreciate, which is us, of course.
Oh, of course.
Because that's why you're listening. Because you do that for us. So thank you for all of you. Well, what is new in the world of you?
Okay, so I want to talk about a show that I've been watching on Netflix.
What is it?
And it's kind of new. I think a lot of people might know about it if you're into the true crime. But it's called American Nightmare.
I've actually not heard of this.
It's a 3 episode thing. And basically it goes into this girl and her boyfriend were sleeping at their house. They have a home invasion. They're tied up. She's kidnapped.
Oh.
Okay. And maybe I think a day later, there is an email received with her saying, "Hey, this is my name. I've been kidnapped. I'm okay." Blah blah blah. And so obviously they think the boyfriend has done it. They're pegging the boyfriend from the get go.
Okay.
Because they think the story's far fetched. I don't want to give it away.
Okay.
Because I want everyone to watch it, but you'll see if you watch it.
Is it new?
It is. I think it just kind of came out.
Okay.
It's from 2015 was when the incident occurred, but it is I think the show is from 2024. It's new. But anyway, so I think maybe 2 days later she shows back up.
Okay.
Unharmed.
Have you seen Gone Girl?
Okay. Yes, because
that's all I think about.
Well, this has been dubbed the Gone Girl case. Because they literally she was investigated, blah blah blah. I'm not completely done. I'm halfway through the final episode, so I don't know how it fully gets wrapped up, but it's riveting. It's riveting.
Wow.
So I highly recommend American Nightmare on Netflix.
Well, I'm going to highly take you up on your recommendation, because that sounds just like something I would get into.
Yeah. What have you been watching?
Well, after many years of fighting the good fight, I have been talked into watching Game of Thrones.
Oh, who have you been fighting against? Maybe me? Maybe?
I enjoy fighting with you, and I enjoy fighting you on that. However, I've given in, and I am submissive to Game of Thrones. I am your Game of Thrones bitch.
I've been really excited because I watched it years ago, so it's almost, not that I'm not rewatching it, but I'm getting to relive it through.
Is it vicariously? Is that how you feel?
I guess yeah, but I'm just reliving it again through your I don't know, it's exciting, and I'm getting really excited because I know things that are coming up. So
my reactions have been nothing but more than organic too, and very delayed, I might say. However, the most recent what the fuck was episode 7 of season 5 of Game of Thrones. Sansa was just raped by her now husband. I can't remember his fucking name.
He's gross.
What the hell? Ramsay? Is that
Ramsay? Bolton?
Bolton.
Yeah,
that's the fucker.
Oh,
fuck him.
I hate him so much.
And I hated what's his nuts. Or what? He doesn't have any. How ironic.
Oh, shit. Theon?
That's the one. Yeah, fucking Greyjoy. That piece of shit. But you have sympathy for him kind of after what he goes through.
I had a huge amount. And that's the thing, what was done to him was so awful that I don't think it's possible to not have some sort of sympathy.
Man. that guy.
Yeah.
And even her, to like look at him for help and everything that she has to go through, and to know that he fucked her entire family and city over in town, but yet she needs him and she's begging for him. He's just like, no, I'm a little bitch. And he could have killed this guy so many times. And we see that when he was shaving and he begs Theon to shave, and he could do it, but he's doing it right in front of that bastard that killed everyone in the Red Wedding. But by the way, I'm sorry if you guys have not watched Game of Thrones. I should have mentioned this before. Spoiler alerts are going to happen here.
Game of Thrones has been out for so long. At this point,
It's just me.
yeah. But what I'm saying is, at this point, I don't think you can expect to not be spoiled on Game of Thrones. So I think you're safe.
I feel good now.
Yeah,
I feel much better.
Yeah. If you haven't watched it by now, you know.
Thank you for the redemption. I feel better in my life. I can move on feeling like I'm innocent there. However, that's basically where I'm at. And Cersei, the great fucking cunt herself, and I don't know what's going to happen to Marjorie, but she's just basically been indoctrinated into trial because her brother's gay. This is where I obviously get personal, because this is something in my livelihood. But yeah, fuck Game of Thrones, fuck Cersei. I love Marjorie.
But you love Game of Thrones.
I do, but goddamn, fuck them.
And don't get attached to a character.
I've learned. If they kill Brienne of Tarth and don't give me a face or a reaction, I might just cry and then scream. So that's all for that. And stay tuned for my next reaction of what the fuck Game of Thrones did you just do to my emotional well-being. Thank you. But something else I'm watching is The Traitors on Peacock.
Is that the one that's got like Johnny Bananas on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's more recent, so I'm not going to give any spoilers for that show.
Definitely don't spoil, but I want to just make sure that that's the show I'm thinking of. So,
yes.
Okay.
It is that.
Okay.
And they had one season. It's also had several variations in other countries. Like, I think they had an Australia version, a UK version. There was another or something that I'm not exactly sure. But it's all the same premise. There's a big mansion. I believe it's all takes place in Scotland for all of the seasons. I don't know if it's the same castle or not. But there, in this particular season of season 2 of the American version, there are all celebrities or reality stars or people that are known if you're into those, kind of shows. A lot of housewives. There's like 3 or 4 different people in the Housewife franchise. There's a couple in the Bravo shows, like Shahs of Sunset. I don't know if you know that show.
I heard of it.
There's a girl named MJ in there. There's Tamra from Real Housewives of Orange County.
Okay.
Phaedra from Atlanta. Sheree from Atlanta. My girls, love them. And then we also had Larsa from Miami. Real Housewives of Miami. Not a huge fan of her.
I'm not a fan of that one.
But she was on it, and she, if you watch it, and hopefully you do, you'll find out that these people are picked, 3 of them are picked, to be secret murderers, and they have to kill off their castmates by doing secret competitions, and essentially all deciding as traitors, all 3 of them, who to kill unanimously.
So like murder mystery. I don't know what I thought this show was about, but I didn't realize.
It's so good.
I think I would like that.
It's so good. And then, so they'll go up at the end of the episode and they'll all have their little cahoot where they discuss who to murder, and then that person who they murder will get a little letter on their chair, and then for dramatics they show the person entering and sitting down on this chair with a letter. They open the letter and it shows the traitors have decided that you've been murdered. Then they have a quick little interview. Oh my God, I've been murdered. What did I do? What could I have done differently? And then they move on, and then the next morning they have a breakfast, and whoever doesn't show, all the cast know that they were murdered. So you're either a faithful and you're not a traitor, or you're a traitor and you're trying to get everybody murdered. If the traitor stands at the end, any one of the 3, then they get the whole $250,000. If any faithfuls are still standing and no traitors are there, they split the prize of $250,000. If a traitor is voted off early and they no longer have enough traitors to continue, a traitor can then recruit another traitor to try to flop from a faithful over to a traitor. And then fuck over all the people they were just playing with to try to get this prize of $250,000.
Okay.
And split it with 3 versus 10.
I might have to give it a
fantastic.
I might have to give it a watch.
It's fantastic. So any of you out there that like crazy reality mystery shows, watch The Traitors on Peacock. But not only do we love all things scandalous, we love laughing about all things scandalous, which leads us into our Mad Lib segment.
Mad Lib of the week.
Woohoo! What we got for you?
Okay, I'm gonna cold read like I did last time. It's more fun that way.
Make it frigid.
All right. Get out your reading panties.
They're strapped.
Because the library is moist. Each season of RuPaul's Drag Race features a reading mini challenge in which the queens jump one another to filth.
Oh, yeah.
Here are some tips on how to throw some slimy shade.
Oh, slime it.
Use disgusting expressions to exaggerate your meaning. A raised eyebrow or pursed dicks can speak volumes. Speaking of face, slap a bitch for hair on her ass. Poor William and her 7 o'clock shadow. You can always keep it short and hysterical like Raja. Slippery? Who cares? Syphilis? Knock a queen for how she paints her nipple. Peanut butter is either pointy or crunchy, right, Roxy Andrews?
That was great for that one.
Like Jujubee, grab in Laotian. The other dads won't know what you're saying, but that's their desk. Whatever you do, don't pull a page out of Pearl's weave and try to bounce RuPaul, because she's not having it.
No, she ain't.
Yeah.
Wow. That is funny. That's good. I love that. I'm loving these Mad Libs.
They're fun.
They just turn a front upside down. You know,
it kind of can bring you back to, you can pretend you're 14 again.
That's right.
Good times.
Good times. Another new thing we're going to try out, we're going to call it WTF. It stands for What the Florida, which basically stands for What the Fuck Florida.
Legit. We did like the little cult story last week, your backyard cult.
Oh, yeah.
Which that kind of, we decided that was our first installment of What the Florida.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's move into this week's.
Before we do, would you like a quick update?
Oh, yes, I would.
On the cult status. They had another gathering this last weekend. It lasted approximately a full 24 hours. We didn't get the whole experience, though, because they stopped approximately 1 a.m. Mm-hmm. So it didn't get the full length of the whole day. However, yeah, they had their whole gear out there, all their people, all the dead things once clucking and mooing, and no longer.
Well, wow.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Are We Going to Live Past This Cult Status Shit? All right.
Oh, man. Alrighty. Well, today's installment of What the Florida. We're going to be talking about a man named Robert Dubois. Why don't you tell us a little bit about him?
Is it Dubois?
I think you would say Dubois, actually. It's another French thing. Remember last week you had some trouble with French?
I wanted to be toxic for you. Damn. Okay,
sure.
I'm going to get you.
Okay.
I'm going to get you. But the cool thing...
Watch me be wrong.
I hope it is. I'm going to go back later on and follow up on the next episode about your Dubois status. But Robert Dubois, which I'm going to go with Dubois. So we're going to fight about this word again.
Okay.
Robert Dubois was convicted of murder when he was 18. He's now 59. He spent 37 years in prison, and he was released in 2020. He's been in prison since 1983. And Robert Dubois is now suing Tampa for $14 million, in which he will receive them in installments. An Innocence Project got involved in 2018, which allowed the traction and motion for him to be released because DNA from the early 80s ended up being tested, and it points to 2 other men that were actually involved in the slaying of the murder. And he's now getting what he rightfully deserves.
It amazes me, like, how often there are wrongful convictions, like...
all the time.
And I guess, like, it happens more often in, like, the 70s and the 80s, things like that, because there was... And I get it, like, DNA was not prevalent the way that it is now. But, man, like, to send someone to prison...
37.
For 37 years, and he didn't commit it. I mean, that is I don't like, you're 37. It's literally your entire life. This man sat in prison for something he didn't do.
I have a hard head shake. I know you can't see that through the audio, listeners, but it's very firm.
So WTF? What the fuck, Florida?
What the fuck, Florida? But you know what?
I am happy that now he's getting. I mean, again, though, does money actually like? Is that really justice?
It's not. He actually says that in here. He says that the settlement is not only an acknowledgement of the harm that Mr. Dubois had suffered, but it's an opportunity for him to move on with his life. But ultimately, that this doesn't fix anything. It just gives him a little validation. And he's saying, bitch better have my money. He's getting Rihanna, honey. He wants that fucking coin.
Pay me what you owe me.
That's right. Bitch better have that money.
Okay, guys, we have a special guest in our studio today. It's my beautiful mother, Cher Bear.
Hello.
Cher Bear, thanks for having me.
Happy to be here.
Well, thank you for being here.
I don't know if you remember, I did shout her out like 2 episodes ago.
You did. And it's only natural for her to be here today to add some additional commentary.
Yes. So, Josh, what story do you have for us today?
Well, listeners, friends, and fam, I hope that you are ready because I'm going to give you the underwater scuba story of the ghost of Truk Lagoon. Do you know this story?
I don't, actually.
Really?
No, I really don't.
Well, buckle up, get your scuba gear on, get all your wetsuits ready because we're going to dive right in.
No, I don't scuba dive.
Okay, well, me either. It's not a great thing. All right, but Truk Lagoon is nestled in the heart of the Pacific Ocean. It holds within its depths a haunting history that has captivated the imagination of adventurers and historians alike. Once a bustling hub of activity during World War II, this idyllic paradise was transformed into graveyards of ships and war machines, forever shrouded in the echoes of a forgotten era. I know. The realm of Truk Lagoon is located in Micronesia and roughly 1,100 miles northwest of New Guinea in the West Pacific Ocean. Not much is known about the history surrounding the region before the Spanish explorer, and I'm going to butcher this, but you know how I do with this, Alvaro de Saavedra. No, what is that?
Saavedra?
That's okay. I like that.
I mean, I'm not confident, but...
That's way better than I would have
Okay.
gotten, so great job.
If you could roll your R's, something like that.
It's not going to happen.
Founded the area in 1528. In 1899, the Spanish colonists sold the area to Germany after Spain withdrew from the Pacific in the aftermath of the Spanish-American War. Then, the Japanese Navy pursued and destroyed the German East Asia Squadron and provided projection of shipping lanes for Allied commerce in the Pacific and Indian Oceans. I don't know if you knew about all that.
Did not.
Yeah. Then, during this operation, the Japanese Navy then seized Germans' possessions in the Marinas, Carolines, the Marshall Islands, and the Palau groups by October 1914. Truk then became a possession of the Empire of Japan under the South Seas Mandate following Germany's defeat. On February 3rd, 1944, the Japanese started to suspect, what the hell was that? To today, Junior. An attack that was on the horizon. The U.S. Navy had captured the nearby Japanese-owned Marshall Islands, and then almost immediately, the Japanese saw the American planes in the skies above Truk. Some of the larger Japanese warships were then moved away to Palau, and they were basically to save the more heavy machinery that was there, so that way if there were going to be an attack, at least they kept their better assets intact. Yeah. And then there wasn't really enough time to move all the vessels away, so, what's to come next is what you'll soon be hearing. Now, on February 17th, 1944, the U.S. Navy activated Operation Hailstone on the Japanese fleet. It was an early morning attack that was planned, and it was meant to neutralize the strength of Truk Lagoon's concentrated Japanese fleet. The devastating attack, which consisted of air and ground strikes, caused catastrophic damage to the Japanese army. Over about 3 days, American planes had sunk about 50 ships, 275 airplanes, and in addition to this damage, the U.S. Navy killed about an estimated 4,500 or more Japanese Marine personnel. It's estimated that one ship alone had struck and killed 400 soldiers who were on the cargo when it was hit. I know, sucks for them.
Not good.
These attacks, for the most part, ended Truk as a major threat to the Allied operations in the Central Pacific. Truk was shortly isolated by the Allied forces as they continued their conquest toward invading the other Pacific islands. Truk's attacks were not done yet, as there was a second attack from June 12th to June 16th, 1945, by the British Pacific Fleet during Operation Inmate. The goal here was to cut off the remaining Japanese forces in other Central Pacific islands. The Japanese eventually faced food and water shortages and were forced to surrender in 1945. August 1945, that is. The Caroline Islands were all but forgotten for about 30 years. This was until the famous French oceanographer, and you may have heard his name, Jacques Cousteau.
Ooh, I do know him.
Yeah, that's kind of how he got involved here. And his team, they basically explored the wreckage of Truk Lagoon in 1969. A TV documentary was aired about the lagoon and the ghostly remains. The lagoon soon became a hotspot for scuba diving enthusiasts from all over the world. The wreckage is infamously referred to as the Ghost Fleet of Truk Lagoon.
So that's like the the sunken ships that are like down there, and the people are scuba diving.
They're scuba diving. They're going down there. They're trying to see what they can find, because what you'll soon find is that not everything has been found. Yeah. So roughly 50 feet below the surface of the tranquil waters, you will find the majority of the wreckage spanning from the islands of Dublin, Etten, Fethen, and Uman. The crystal clear waters make some of the wreckage site visible from the surface, which is what really attracts a lot of the divers to go, because there's not a lot of work you have to put into to actually seeing where you're diving. You just get to see right from the view of the water. All the items that have sunk during these grim 3 days have attracted a wide array of marine life. Manta rays, turtles, sharks, and corals have all been spotted at this site on a regular basis. Some of the more common reports of wreckage litter are fighter aircrafts, tanks, bulldozers, railroad cars, motorcycles, torpedoes, mines, bombs, boxes of ammunitions, radios, thousands of weapons, spare parts, human remains, and just other small little things. One of the most sought-after missing items is the submarine I-169 Shinohara, which was lost when diving to avoid bombing. This particular submarine participated in the attacks on Pearl Harbor in December 1941.
Do you think that is it like a Bermuda Triangle type thing going on there?
That's what a lot of people believe because of how much activity. I mean, you can't say that 4,500 plus people die and there's not a single thing haunting that area.
Well, and then it just seems there's like a lot of wreckage litter, like aircrafts, tanks, bulldozers, railroad cars. It's just like, I don't know, there's a lot there.
A lot.
So, yeah.
And what really blows my mind is that the ships that have sunk are classified as Japanese war graves and artifacts from that. And the U.S. required the Japanese, and during their involvement in the eventual cleanup of some of the oil tankers that lie beneath the ocean. So basically said, hey, we're going to kill you, and you got to clean it up. Go you, U.S., you assholes. Nothing like a great country, A war grave is established when mass members of service die in the line of duty, and then basically because this happened, Truk Lagoon was classified as a war grave. The Japanese government was then deemed responsible for cleaning up the wreckage on behalf of their people, and because of this, every year the Japan government makes a trip to the devastated site to pay respects to the lost comrades of the sea, which I think is very respectful.
Yeah.
Truk Lagoon wants a tranquil paradise filled with crystal clear waters, vibrant coral reefs, and a whole lot of nothing but beautiful paradise going on. It's now known for something much more sinister. The accounts of the haunted activity that still remain have been reported by numerous divers who have explored its depths. Now, the first sighting of ghostly activity in Truk Lagoon dates back to World War II, when the area was known as the Gibraltar of the Pacific. The lagoon served as a Japanese military base, and it was heavily bombed by the American forces in 1944. The wreckage of over 60 ships, 200 aircrafts remain at the bottom of the lagoon, and it's creating a hauntingly beautiful underwater graveyard. It is said that the spirits of the soldiers who perished in the attack still roam the waters, unable to move from their tragic deaths that linger. Divers who have explored the lagoon have also reported strange occurrences, such as hearing eerie whispers, the feeling of sudden drops in temperature. Some even claim to have seen apparitions of soldiers in diving gear, some that are swimming alongside them before disappearing under weird depths.
You know from me.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Others have reported other equipment malfunctions and feeling as though they're also being watched by an unseen presence. What would you do? You're going down there with somebody.
Well, I was, full disclosure, I wouldn't be scuba diving.
But if you were, what would you do?
Run away?
Yeah.
But that's not safe when you're scuba diving to go fast.
Yeah, run away to where?
Yeah.
That's why I'm not there. That's why I'm not down there.
That's good. You stay dry.
I
kind of want to start singing the Jaws song right now.
Yes. No, thank you.
Is that the Jaws song?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
No. That was Twilight Zone.
You're so right. Yeah. I'm just testing all your ability to know what song I was talking about. That's all. And you passed.
Name
Congratulations. But back to the story. So another one particular disturbing account comes from a diver who's claimed to seen a goop of ghosts. I don't know what a goop is, but a group of ghosts. These ghostly soldiers, they're marching on seabeds, and their equipment and the uniforms are perfectly preserved despite being submerged for over 70 years.
Imagine.
No, I don't want to.
Imagine seeing a ghost army.
Nope. No,
marching. That's,
marching on in.
I mean,
the man's come marching in. Dun, 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 dun. And then these stories that have basically been lingering due to all the haunted activity have caused Truk Lagoon to have a reputation as one of the most haunted dive sites in the entire world. Some believe that the spirits of the soldiers are still guarding their ships and aircrafts, while others speculate that the relentless ghosts, who are also restless, are seeking revenge for their untimely deaths. Despite the spooky tales that linger, like the lost souls that remain, many divers still flock to Truk Lagoon to explore the haunting wreckage and experience the thrill of encountering these ghostly apparitions. While some may dismiss these accounts as mere fragments, what the fuck is a fragment? Can anyone help me with what the fuck a fragment is? No, me either. But figments of divers' imaginations, they're basically saying that they personally experienced the unexplainable activity in Truk Lagoon, and they beg to differ, anyone that says anything differently. After all, how else can you explain the eerie feeling of being watched in the vast expanse of the ocean, or the sight of a soldier army by a bygone era appearing right before your eyes?
Yeah, I'm going to say marching armies kind of give credit to marching ghost armies.
Yeah.
You know.
I would say that would wrap it up for me pretty nicely. Truk Lagoon may be a diver's paradise. It may be beautiful. It may be somewhere you want to visit, but it's also a place that lies between the living and the dead, and it also seems to blur quite nicely. Its haunting beauty and tragic past will blend to continue to fascinate and intrigue those who venture into its depths, and the tales of its haunted activity are surely going to be passed down from generations to come. Now, ladies, who wants to go diving? No? Nobody?
know.
Crickets?
Yeah.
That's fine.
All right. Awesome. Great
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that nice moist.
I did.
Go back to our Mad Lib. No? Aha. All right, Renee, give it to us, lady. What you got this week?
Today, we are going to be talking about the murders committed by Bruce McArthur.
All right. Never heard of him.
He's from Canada.
All right.
All right. Bruce McArthur's crimes shocked the world when they came to light in 2018. For years, the landscaper had been living a double life, portraying himself as a friendly and trustworthy member of the Toronto community. However, behind closed doors, MacArthur was a sadistic and calculated killer, preying on vulnerable men in Toronto's gay village. His horrific crimes span almost a decade, from 2010 until his arrest in January of 2018. MacArthur's victims were primarily of South Asian or Middle Eastern descent, many of whom were struggling with homelessness and addiction. He lured them in with promises of money or drugs, and once he had gained their trust, he would strangle them to death. The killer would then dismember their bodies and bury the remains in the gardens of his clients, earning him the nickname Landscape Killer.
How fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What the
I
fuck?
also don't love, so basically he was choosing his victims for people that, quote, in his mind didn't matter. Like no one would be looking for them because, you know, at the time, like
They were down, I know.
yeah, and especially like Middle Eastern. I mean, like at that time, people aren't down with them, and then, you know, homelessness, addiction. It's just.
I have a premonition, but you don't have to tell me yet. Don't give away a spoiler. But I think this is a typical telltale of somebody that hates themselves because they're also gay. That's all I'm going to say. Continue.
Okay. Yeah. Many of the men murdered by MacArthur couldn't always be honest about who they were having sexual relationships with due to things like their religious background. So I'm going to talk about his victims here. And please bear with me on the pronunciations. I'm just gonna let you know.
Girl,
now.
you know I get it.
Yeah. Skandaraj Navaratnam,
Yeah.
a 40-year-old from Sri Lanka who moved to Canada in the 1990s as a refugee and made a life for himself in Toronto's gay community. He was MacArthur's first victim. He worked as a teaching assistant. He was last seen leaving a nightclub. He was reported missing after not returning home to care for his brand new puppy.
Oh.
Abdulbasir Faizi,
Okay, good job.
who was 42, split his life between Brompton, a Toronto suburb, where he lived with his wife and 2 daughters, and the village, where he secretly socialized. His wife did not know that he was gay.
Did you pick this story because of that name and it rhymes with my name for my last name?
Which name? What?
Brompton.
I'm like, what?
I spelled at home.
I'm looking at that one.
That's exactly it.
I knew it.
Faizi worked at a printing company and was last seen at a bathhouse in the village. He was reported missing in December 2010. Majid Kaihan, age 58, an Afghan immigrant, was believed to have led a double life, one with his family and the other in Toronto's gay enclave. He was reported missing by his adult son in October 2012. Now, Kaihan's disappearance, along with the other two, sparked a short-lived investigation that did last from 2012 to 2014, but it yielded no suspects.
Oh, damn.
So that was a missed opportunity there.
Sure.
Because unfortunately, Bruce did not stop there.
Oh, no.
His next victim was Sarush Mahmoudi, who was 50, as a refugee from Iran. Married with children, he was reported missing by his wife in August 2015. She actually described him as her soulmate, which I'm thinking like, ma'am. He allegedly went to bed and was gone the next morning. The assumption was that he'd gone to work but was never seen alive again, which I think he probably snuck out to go to the village.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there you have it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Kairushna Kumar Kanagaratnam was 37.
You're getting better.
Nailed that. Go you.
Wow. And came from war-torn Sri Lanka to Canada seeking asylum and a better life in 2010. Because he didn't have refugee status, he had been living underground, so it wasn't immediately apparent when he had vanished. People initially thought that he was in hiding. So they don't really know for sure, but evidence suggests that he was killed in January of 2016.
Okay.
Dean Lisowick was 47, loved life and adventures, yet struggled with mental health and substance abuse. Unlike MacArthur's earlier victims, Lisowick, who was a sex worker, was never even reported missing to the police at all.
Really? Of course not. Why would... Yeah.
Well, a gay sex worker?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Authorities think that he was murdered on or about April 23rd, 2016. Salim Isen was 44 and came from Turkey to Canada in 2013 and settled into life in Toronto's LGBT-friendly neighborhood. As a gay person, Salim wasn't happy living in Turkey, his brothers said in a 2018 statement. His tender and kind humanity came before everything else, they added. Isen was last seen alive on the evening of April 15th, 2017. He was reported missing by a friend.
Wow.
Now, Andrew Kinsman was 49, and he was called a gentle giant. He was a big, well-connected presence in the village community. A building super, people quickly noticed that he was missing and alerted the police in June of 2017. His disappearance mobilized the gay community and fueled rumors of a gay killer on the loose. So at this point, people are starting to get wise to like that somebody is targeting them and like let's do something about this.
It's also eerily around my birthday, which is also creeping me out that you picked my birthday and my last name, Stalker.
Well, I mean,
no big deal.
Now, one person who had a lucky escape from MacArthur was Sean Cribben, who met online on a hookup app in 2017 where Bruce used the username Silver Fox.
Oh.
Sean traveled to MacArthur's Toronto apartment where the plan was to have sex. MacArthur gave him GHB, and he ended up passing out for about 20 minutes. When he came around, he saw him just standing there looking at him, which would be a little unnerving.
Yeah.
Sean is very lucky to be alive, as this was only about 1 month after MacArthur had killed his 8th victim. Sometime after the incident, a detective contacted Sean and said that an image of him had been found on MacArthur's hard drive. He had put a hood over his head and duct tape over his eyes. This had been taken during that 20 minutes that he had been passed out. Why MacArthur decided not to kill him, we'll never know.
Oh my God. I have a personal story for you.
Okay.
I feel like if I could like to share
Yeah,
that.
I would love it.
So there's this friend, and just due to privacy and sensitivity, I'm not going to say their name. And this person had a crush on me at one point, and I didn't really realize it at the time. And my best friend Stacy, hey, love you, shout out.
Stacy?
She used to come over to my apartment, and we would often stay the night at each other's apartments just when we get out of work, just because we were both kind of single and wanted to kind of feel comfort with each other. So sometimes I get home on a third shift and she'd be in my bed and vice versa. It was just kind of the fun thing we did. And one of these days I wake up and this person is standing over my bed.
No.
And I like shake Stacy, and Stacy was also a mutual friend with this person, so it was like also very weird to her. And she was like, I thought normally Stacy would pop off because she's just that kind of person. You don't mess with her. She's a bad bitch. And she looked at me and she went, ugh, and she just rolled over and went back to bed. And I went, what are you doing here? And they went, I wanted to come surprise you. And I said, surprise? You did? Can you leave? How fucking weird.
Surprise.
Like I didn't, my
Middle of the night?
It was the afternoon. It was like 2 p.m. or something after like waking up from a third shift.
Okay.
We'd just gotten up because
I thought this was like 2 a.m.
No, like I gotten out of work at like
Still
2.
not cool.
No. But I didn't unlock my apartment. Like I purposely am crazy like that. And I know I locked it. And I don't know how they broke in, but they did. So.
Wow.
It looks like you dodged a bullet.
I
Just
dodged
like
a
Sean
bullet
over
too.
here.
Thank goodness for Stacy.
I sure did.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's that.
Alrighty. Well.
Wow.
What is perhaps most disturbing about MacArthur's crimes is the way he was able to evade detection for so long. Despite being interviewed by police during that investigation of the 3 missing men in 2013, MacArthur was not considered a suspect at all at the time. I mean, I wonder how he
Wow.
Anyway. It wasn't until 2017 that he finally caught the attention of authorities when some of his victims' remains were found at the home of one of his clients. This discovery led to a more thorough search of his apartment and van, where police would uncover even more evidence linking him to these murders. As details of MacArthur's crimes emerged, a picture of a disturbed and twisted individual began to form. Not only did he meticulously plan and execute the killings, but he also took photos and videos of all of his victims in various stages of undress and posed their corpses after their deaths.
How disgusting and creepy.
So let's take it to a whole nother level.
Oh my gosh.
It was clear that this was not the work of a deranged individual acting on impulse, but rather a calculated and deliberate series of murders.
Wow. Terrible.
Now, as the trial for MacArthur's crimes progressed, the full extent of his depravity came to light. He was found guilty of 8 counts of first-degree murder, with some speculating there may be even more victims who have yet to be discovered. I agree with this because, I mean, he would kill somebody like, 2 months, from each other, and then I think there was the one, like the second to last and the last were maybe a whole year apart, which...
At this point, there's so much.
So I'm thinking that he's got to have more victims. And like if, Dean, who wasn't even reported to the police at all, I mean, how many more of those could there have been? And
there's definitely, at least I'm thinking that there's people out there that are still unaccounted for sure.
MacArthur's heinous actions have left a community reeling with shock and grief, and many questions still remain about how he was able to evade detection for so long. The crimes of Bruce McArthur will undoubtedly leave a lasting impact on the city of Toronto and the LGBTQ+ community for years to come. During his trial, MacArthur showed no remorse at all for his actions, and even went as far as to blame his victims for their own deaths. Basically, because of they were drug addicts, they were, they had mental issues. No one is going to miss them. That's kind of, This callous attitude only added to the horror and disgust felt by the public and the families of the victims. The sentencing of MacArthur to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years brought some closure to the families. But the pain and trauma caused by his actions will never fully heal. Now, I'm going to remind you, this is Canada. So Canada, really, I think the U.S. has some of the strongest, laws as far as, life in prison, things like that. A lot of these other countries, when you get life in prison and then, you can get parole after. I don't think you should ever get parole if you were murdering 8 people, maybe more.
So what is the penalty in Canada at this time?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming he got probably the max you can get. Life with no parole for 25 years. That for
So that
them,
would've been the max
I would
then?
say for them that's pretty.
Okay.
That's pretty. But I just
So there's still
That's
the
not strong
possibility of
enough.
always getting out of prison for your crime.
correct. However, he was in his late 60s at the time of these crimes, so we've got that
But what if
going.
he had been 18?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. The crimes of Bruce. Wow.
Who's Bruce?
Let's start over
that
there. The crimes of Bruce McArthur serve as a reminder that there are monsters among us and that we must remain vigilant in protecting our communities. His case also highlights the need for better protection and support for marginalized communities who are very often targeted by serial killers and violent criminals. And that is the story of that asshole, Bruce McArthur.
Well, Bruce, I fucking hate you. You asshole. Dick. Yeah, great job. That was a good
Thank you,
story.
Dad.
But fuck him
Yeah,
to the
he's-
severest penalty
Yeah,
of
we hate
all
him.
extent of the
We
words.
hate him.
Hate him. All right, friends. Thank you so much for joining us today
Yes,
on
thank
our
you.
episode 4 of Humor, Haunts, and Homicide. Today's show notes for my Truk Lagoon story include the sunsnewsarticle.com for the Hauntings Underwater Graveyard, and All That's Interesting's article for Truk Lagoon, Wikipedia's article for Truk Lagoon, Paranormal Strange's fandom wiki article for Truk Lagoon, sportdiver.com's article for Truk Lagoon's Haunted Ghost Fleet, and more details in the show notes.
And the sources for the Bruce McArthur story were Oxygen.com, Catching a Serial Killer on Bruce McArthur. I did also listen to the Crime Junkie podcast where they covered him.
So good.
And a BBC article highlighting the victims of Bruce McArthur. And everything else will be in the show notes.
Fantastic. I loved it. Well, again, everybody, thank you for joining us. We cannot wait to see you back for episode 5.
We're so happy that you are here still with us.
We are.
And we're growing, and that's
Growing.
exciting.
Love
so.
it. And this has been so much fun. I
know.
know I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it too, but look, really, really important.
Oh, yeah.
Mystery never sleeps.
And neither do we.
Bye,
bitch.
Humor, haunts, and homicide.